Hey guys, welcome to the second part of the tier list video. Today we are going to talk about pushing characters. So, we will right off start and take away all the farming ones from the last video to the F tier. Just don't even consider them being here because, yeah, that's just not a place they should be. I didn't put any more in because I thought, okay, when we talk about pushing, sure there's early game, and there's like one guy you could really consider for pushing a lot in the early game especially, but I will just go ahead and show you in the game when it's time for that. But besides that, I thought pushing should be like stood more late game because you don't really care about pushing too much in the early game besides the stage breakthrough, but hitting 80 or 81 or whatever is not quite hard, so we'll do that in about 2 to 3 weeks anyway. So yeah, let's start off with movement speed and attack speed. For pushing, I mean, yeah, nice to have more attack speed and stuff, but movement speed also don't really care. So we put both into D tier right away. It's nice to have the stats, but it's not like necessary for pushing, because for pushing you really just care about how much damage you do. That's basically all you wanna focus on. Let's go ahead and yeah, Gondul for reduced champion skill companion skill cooldown. The thing is, if you go for pushing, you really don't play a lot around the skills of your companions. The main skill you're playing for is your Brunhilde skill, and you sure go for all the other skills as well, but you don't really care about how often you do them. You more care about how much Hypercrit you can get out of one certain skill. So therefore, she as well is going down to D tier, and actually I would even put her into F tier, because I'll put them ahead of the low tier ones because of the damage, but really there's no reason for you to use her for pushing. To be honest, I don't even know what kind of scenario you want her to use her. Going over to something actually good for pushing, depending on your current stats, but if you are around, let's say 70 crit chance and 80 super crit, there's actually two things you wanna use, and as you can see, I use both of them, and that's her and her. I'm going to put them into B tier, sorry. Yeah, she gives you 30% crit chance, she gives you 20% super crit chance, and they make you basically hit both 100% pretty early in the game. Saying 100%, I don't have 100% super crit yet, but I'll hit that pretty soon. I'm sure about that. Why I put them into B tier if I'm just talking about how great they are? Simple reason is you get crit chance in the course of the game anyway again, and at some point there is no use for them anymore. At the moment, in the mid game, early game, there's really a lot of uses for them, but really if you wanna look at like, and again I'm talking like 2500, 3000 something levels, like really far off still, but considerable, reachable in the next 2 months or something. Yeah, there's just really no place for those two anymore. So therefore, for the long run, I just put them into B tier as of right now. Going over to our whole look, the experience one, and you might be thinking, okay, there's no way she's good for pushing, but actually she can be good. I place her in the A tier because she can be really good, but it's really niche wise. Because as you can see, her skill is Hypercrit rate, okay? And if you pushed her really high into stars, etc, I'm just really unlucky with getting her, and sometimes I'm stupid and go for EX for no reason, but yeah. If you push her really high, you get a ton of Hypercrit ratio chance into her. And as you can see, I'm just Transcended 3 and 3 star, and I already have 28%. So if you go really high on her, I believe it was 4% for each extra star. So basically you get her up to around about, let me lie, I think it was 48-ish% Hypercrit chance, but I'm really not sure. I just make up numbers here. I have no idea. But yeah, basically she gives you a ton of Hypercrit, and once you hit this point, what I was just talking about, where you have enough Hypercrit and enough Supercrit and enough normal crit, then yeah, you might be still missing a ton of Hypercrit, and she's literally the place to go for if you want to go for that Hypercrit extra, because she can make you get that 100% for pushing, and also might be for farming, but that's not about this in this video. Alright, let's go over to one of the most important, if not the most important one for pushing. It's the gold one, yeah, not joking. And she is an S tier. Lat is giving you an attack buff, and this attack buff is also, as more as you level her, as higher it goes. I think you end up at around 500-ish, maybe 600-ish, I'm not 100% sure. Again, I'm just making things up, but it's around about that, I believe. So why is she so OP? Because her cooldown is really high, as you can see. But the reason is really simple, because if you don't auto, you know, you can wait until you have your cooldowns, and for example, if I would struggle in the stage, and I see my timer running to about 2 or 3 seconds, or maybe 1 second even, I could join the tower and leave the tower, like give up the tower right away, and when I come back out, my cooldowns will still be the same as when I entered the tower, so I can wait until they reduce. And also the stage I have been on will be the exact same. The mob I was fighting will get full HP again, so you cannot like just min-max and wait till you kill a mob, because then you could literally go infinite right now. Would make sense, but no. The NPC will get his HP back, but you can therefore wait for your cooldowns all the time and then push even more. So Lat is insane. And I will quickly skip those two, simply to go to Sid, because Sid is basically Lat, but just in better. Show you. Because she has Hypercrit rate chance for you, insane, and she has an attack buff that's even more insane. So she's basically combining both of the good things that Herlock and Lat have, okay? So Sid is insane if you wanna go for pushing. Without a doubt, she's probably the best one you could use for pushing. So yeah, she's for good reason number one in my opinion, when it comes to pushing at least. Yeah, let's go back to the SS we just missed. So damage against, like Urt has damage against boss monsters, and she's huge, depending on what you're doing. So I will put her into A tier, and she's really insane if you wanna go for the tower push, or if you wanna go for your vault push, or if you wanna go for a dungeon you just barely can't hit or something. She's really insane, but usually the boss monsters on the stages are not that hard to beat, so usually you don't really need her for stage pushing. Therefore she's not an ST, because she's not like usable in all scenarios. You could put her in, but I'll be honest, you would be better off if you just put in more percent chance for crit or anything else. So she's a really great unit, especially for tower. She's huge for the tower. Talking about her again, we will go ahead and skip into the EX realm again. And let me lie, I think it was her, exactly, yeah. Basically same thing, just EX and therefore an S tier. For tower pushing, absolutely insane. You want her for tower pushing. Going over to our last triple S, here she is, skill damage. So the problem with skill damage, I was talking about by pushing you don't really care about how often you do a skill, but damage. But that doesn't mean you wanna push the skill damage, unfortunately. A reason for that is skill damage just barely does any damage at all, because you usually have like 200 to 300% skill damage anyway at a certain point in the game, and therefore the 200% are not that beneficial anymore. If you had 0 skill damage, then this would be a great pick, but considering you get quite a ton of skill damage anyway in the game, those 200% are not really good. And also you don't really care, because simply there's so much better things to take. So I will put her into a low B tier, because you could consider her at some point if you really don't have anything to put in, like if you full crit chance, if you full super crit, if you don't need the hypercrit anymore, if you whatever, you know, if there's like really nothing else, you could consider her, but it's like, yeah, probably won't happen, to be honest. So I just talked about Sit and Lut, and I forgot to talk about the one unit I wanted to talk about that I didn't put in the list, and that's this little fellow, the fox guy. He has basically the same effect, 360% on max stars. I don't know, does this push it? Even more, yeah. So 400% if you max it out, okay? Now let's go back to Lut. As you can see, he's basically the same level as Lut when it comes to attack boost, and that's huge. So if you wanna put him into this tier list, I would even put him into A tier, considering he's a green unit but gives you so many freaking stats for attack. It's insane. You can literally use him in the long run, and you should also use him in the long run. Like, just consider Sid, Lut and the fox guy together. It's insane how much attack buffs you get. Really, it's just insane. Okay, so this is just something I want to talk about. The reason I didn't again put him in, because I think in like really late game there's still better things to do than just pushing your attack, especially if you got your Lut to maxed out and stuff. It's just like you already have too many persons to even care about the 400 anymore at that point. But yeah, moving on to the rest of the EX. Let's go with her. Skill damage. Again, problem is skill damage, you don't really need it. I will put her a little bit like higher than her, because she's just, you know, better in the same regard, but still Hellbat is, I mean, again, if you really don't need another EX, and I doubt it really hard that you do not need another one, because as you can see, just those two here already, you will guaranteely need them for pushing, and then there will be another one that you might consider for pushing as well. So she's just like really, not really good. The by far best farming EX is by far the worst for pushing, obviously. Reason being, you basically don't need increased drop chance if you wanna go for a high stage. The reason though I don't click her into F or D tier is simply because you're high attack, so if you still have a EX spot, or she's like the only one and you have only full SS but triple S but like the important ones, you could consider her just for the base attack companion that she gives you, but that's also the only reason I really put her into C tier. And yeah, moving on. Yeah, same thing, to be honest, same thing. Like, basically does nothing, gives you a little bit of skill damage, but like a skill with a little bit of damage, but really not important, I would say. So yeah, same thing. If you need, like, if you have the one spot and you really, you know, can use those attacks, okay, but yeah, wouldn't consider her. Talking about Raging Lave. Raging Lave is insane, actually. The reason is, The Hypercrit. She's not as insane as Sid, don't get me wrong. Arguably, she's also not as insane as Hyria. Simply because those two you will pretty much use a lot of more times. But the Hypercrit 20% is just crazy. And yeah, therefore I will put her into a high A tier. I don't think she deserves an S tier. For the simple reason that if you'd need the Hypercrit, you would always go for the Sid simply because of the attack buff. There's no point in not going for Sid if you have those two. So therefore I put into A tier because I don't think they deserve the same tier for that sole reason, because the attack buff is just so much better than just skill usage overall. Going to the next worst. Reduced jumping cooldown, and again, I will put her into the highest of the C tier ones, simply because you get some kind of stat that helps you to push, I'd argue. Actually, let me put her into the B tier, okay? Low B tier, simply because she at least gives you any stat you could actually use to push, okay? Because those two don't do, but she's bad, don't use her. But like, if you really don't have anything else, and you have her, but yeah, you don't want her for pushing. Talking about Skadi. Skadi is also, unfortunately, really bad for pushing. So, as you can see, the 3 best farming heroes are basically the 3 worst for pushing. Who would have thought? But, yeah, this is basically my tier list. If you wanna go for high pushing, but also I wanna do how can I, reset. I will also show you around about what I'd use as of right now. We go for crit rate, we go for super crit rate, so we are about hitting 100% of both. We don't go for hyper crit rate though. Where is my, there is she. Oh, actually, let's put her in first, so we have it like as in the game, you know. So we take our attack buffs, okay. Here we also have a little bit of hypercrit chance. We don't really care about that, we just want the attack buff, but that's good. Then we take the boss damage, and now it's really dependent. As of right now, I am mostly using the extra boss damage on my triple S. But you could do other things. You could go, for example, for the extra hypercrit, or especially if you have Renegade, you could consider the extra hypercrit like that. But really, since I mainly just care about tower pushing, I don't really care about which stage I am, because I think tower gives you the ton of rewards. And yeah, sure, if I hit 120, I get another EX, but I'll be honest, if I get a copy of any EX, the few attack stats I get are not that insane. I'm better off just pushing the tower as far as I can. So therefore this is like my tower pushing set as of right now. At some point I hope I can get rid of her, I hope I can get Renegade, as you can see I don't have her yet, and play my team like this. But this is considering I would have 100% crit chance. And then if I had 100% chance on my super crit, I would swap her out, and depending on the situation, but most likely I would go for the 100% hyper crit then, simply to really just pump every inch out there. But yeah, considering I already would have Sid and Renegade, the probability of I am needing her is quite low. So therefore I would probably, not 100%, but probably go for either attack speed or, and this sounds crazy, but actually you might consider go for the green one, for the fox, simply for the extra attack buff. You might actually consider it. And this, like, let's say Agir is the green fox guy. You might actually consider this setup at this point. If you really have, like with Sid and Renegade, if you really have the 100% hypercrit chance. But even then, arguably you could get rid of the Fox instead and then use something like reduced cooldown, you know. I mean, still not good, but you know, at some point anything can be good if you have too much from everything else. So this could be considered as well. But as of right now, and I think most of you are in this situation, you will probably not even have EX, so therefore your pushing team might look like this. For example, you have your crit chance, your super crit, your attack buff, then we take the green fox, okay, don't forget that's not our guild, that's the green fox. For more attack buff you have your boss damage, and now it's really dependent again. If you have low attack speed, you could consider putting attack speed in here, just to have more hits and more chance to crit and stuff, you know, obviously. Is considerable, but it's really only if you have lower than, let's say, like 300% attack speed. If you're over 300 attack speed, there's not really a reason to be like that. If you're 100% super crit, 100% crit, and you really are like 60% hyper crit, like regularly, and I doubt, because then you would have EX pretty surely, but you could consider playing her, but again, I doubt that it's worth for you, and therefore, yeah, arguably not that great. But yeah, this is like mostly the situation you will play. Everything, like the 6th unit you will play is basically just a little boost for you, but you could also just like put in the one unit that gives you the most stats out of all, okay? Like attack wise. So if she, for example, is 4-star with 4 transcend, she's higher than my Hilux, so therefore I will use her. Just for example, okay? But yeah, this is basically what you will look like as of right now, if you just like really going from super early game to the early game more or less, and just hit your first dribble as characters, you know. But yeah, for the Fox, really try to max out your Fox. He's freaking insane. You will use him a long time. So yeah, don't miss out on him. And yeah, that's about it. See you in the next one.